Welcome back, ladies and gentlemen, on this sunny Sunday for another YouTube video. I am All in Crypto, and today we are going to be talking about Cardano. So if you are not a fan, this may not be a video for you, as we're going to be looking at a number of things. We're going to be looking at some on-chain metrics. We're going to be looking at TVL and a number of other things, individual projects perhaps on Cardano, and how we're seeing some really exciting organic growth with this blockchain. Then we're going to go over to the price, and I'm going to be telling you why I think Cardano is on the verge of its next leg up. You guys know that we have taken a bullish approach to the markets since the start of the year after being out for 2022, and we ultimately expect continuation to the upside across the board. We are at that stage where we are moving away from a bear market into a bull market. We have a lot of equities that are leading the way there. We think gold is on the cusp of new all-time highs, and we ultimately expect the cryptocurrency market to do well under the kind of macro context of sideways rates. Please go and check my daily cryptocurrency market outs for more on that. But if you are not a fan of Cardano, perhaps stick around till the end of the video and you may warm towards it. So I don't want to waste too much time overlaying what we're going to go over specifically, but let's get into it. Let's start off with some of the fundamentals, and then we'll get into the technicals in regards to the charts. Before I start, guys, I want to give a huge shout out to my stake pool and each and every one of you that have decided to delegate with me. It means the world to me. We have been running a Cardano stake pool and helping with the decentralization and validation of the network since 2021. We've survived the bear market. We do now think you're in a bull market, ladies and gentlemen. And ultimately, it means a lot to me to be in this position. And I would really love it if people did consider, it's entirely your choice who you decide to stake with, staking with the all-in pool. We are offering regular rewards now as we're minting blocks and we're over that threshold with a very modest margin. And ultimately, we plan on being a key stake pool within the Cardano ecosystem. So let's get into it all, guys. Over the weekend, we had some big news in regards to TVL. Now, this is DeFi Llama. This is total value locked all chains and locked up within individual chains. So you can see, of course, Ethereum, the Genesis smart contract blockchain, sits at around about $27 billion. And then we have Tron, an interesting one, BSC, which of course is BNB and Binance's Binance Smart Chain. Then we have Arbitrum, a layer 2 for Ethereum, Polygon, a layer 2, Optimism, which is another layer 2 on Ethereum, Avalanche, Pulse, Mixin, Cronus, Solana, Carver, DeFi Chain, Phantom, and then we have Cardano. We had the Alonzo hard fork, which allowed smart contracts on Cardano in September, and we are really only today seeing a lot of the fruits of that labor, or what was envisioned initially on that launch. Now, I spoke to a lot of developers that knew full well that actually it was going to take up to a year plus to get to where dApps were deploying and you know, on mainnet. And we're seeing a lot of that right now. And this is why we're seeing a good organic growth within Cardano. Currently sits at 183.3 million in terms of TVL, and you of course have Bitcoin at 179 million underneath. And one criticism Cardano gets, the critiques, I'll go back to the camera, that Cardano gets, and the kind of people who really criticize it, here's how you deal with them. You ask them about Cardano. And I can guarantee you 9 times out of 10, 9.5 times out of 10, they actually will not even understand the project, how it works, all the moving parts to it, and the vision, and some of the things that are already here and that are coming in the future. Otherwise, they wouldn't be saying a lot of what they're saying, whether it be a ghost chain, whether it be, you know, one of the ones that a lot of people say is actually in terms of TVL, where it is on market cap, it's really overvalued. And they'll, at the same time, really defend something like Bitcoin. Well, actually, Cardano has a higher TVL than the likes of Bitcoin at the moment. And I do believe this is going to continue to accelerate. We have seen a big jump up in regards to Cardano TVL. And this has, I think, a little bit to do with meme coins. Meme coins has pros and cons. One of the big pros is that it does bring people to the ecosystem. But ultimately, you know, we have very high hopes. As we see Cardano, we don't even have a fiat-backed stablecoin. AUSD is still to launch from Anzem. We got loads and loads of things coming, guys. But as we see all this roll out, we're going to see the TVL grow even more. And I do believe it's going to get into that kind of top 10 spot. And And this is just the layer 1 of Cardano. We've got lots of things happening on layer 2s in regards to Cardano and side chains that are really going to make Cardano, you know, the place to build. We covered Marlow, which is a huge deal, and actually give a variety of reasons, whether it be the implementation of Hydra or whatever it may be, you know, Midnight, Mithril, that are really going to make Cardano a not just a competitor, but a dominator in the cryptocurrency space. So this was really good news. In regards to chain activity, Cardano is always consistently pretty much number 1. But this has a lot to do with, of course, Ouroboros and the staking mechanism and how transaction volume is actually calculated, and of course adjusted transaction volume. We do have a considerable amount of active addresses. And if you look at Cardano, one of the really special things is if you look at the likes of Ethereum, for example, which is 4th, look at the fees. The fees for significantly less funds moving around, significantly, you know, 1/10 of the funds moving around, even if it is just Ouroboros, come in at 5.8 million, whereas Cardano, it's 13,000 for the transaction volume of $23.11 billion. This is one reason why crypto is such a game changer. We are seeing real organic growth in regards to projects building on top of Cardano and them gaining interest. Of course, we know SNEC is very popular, but the likes of AA to Finance. Watch out this week, guys, because we've got 2 videos coming for you specifically about Cardano. One is in relations to ISO 20022 standards and how Cardano is compliant and what this may mean. And also the other one is about actually, you know, I want to give people my top 5 Cardano projects. And some of you may be slightly shocked. And some of the projects that we may mention, you may have not even heard about, even if you are a partaker in the Cardano space. So things are going very well. You know, we are still in this kind of period, I guess, where we're sort of bridging from being in a bear market to entering, you know, what we think is now a bull market. We've done lots of analysis on Bitcoin. We've done lots of analysis across the board. You know, we can actually see higher highs for the likes of the S&P, which sounds crazy. However, we understand what happens to the markets under the context of sideways rates and ultimately envision a similar thing playing out again. But we've done all that on the daily cryptocurrency market updates. Let's move on to Cardano. Let's look at the chart. Let's look at a number of things, because you guys will know, of course, it's Chainlink, that we've been long since the start of the year. And I want to point a few things out with Cardano. This is just small, but this makes me think, actually, you know, when we're looking at many of these altcoins, they've all done the same thing. They've rallied into resistance and they're taking a break. But if you look at a lot of the altcoins, what they've done is they put in a concession of higher lows and higher highs. This is resistance. It's going to act as exactly that, but you will take it eventually. And once you take this key resistance, which is lower down for Cardano, but if you look at Bitcoin, for example, it's in a similar place. 25K is where we got our inverse head and shoulders. You can see the resistance that we've got here. The market is in the same place really across the board. Ethereum, for example, resistance that it's ran into, and it's still putting concession higher highs and higher lows. Until that market structure is broken, then don't look for the downside. Ultimately, look for upside continuation. You can see where you've found support, but just talking about the Heikin-Ashi candles and moving away from price analysis, which is how we trade and ultimately invest, we use indicators secondary, and I would perhaps argue that the Heikin-Ashi candles are almost an indicator, certainly in regards to momentum changes. Typically, once you get a green candle on the weekly, it's followed up with a concession of green candles, even if it's just another one. Now, this was a bit of an exception. Of course, you had a lot going on here with FTX, but typically green candles are followed up with more green candles. What the Heikin-Ashi, and anybody who's a scalper will be familiar with these. I'm getting PTSD even talking about scalping. But typically when these change, it shows a kind of direction shift and momentum change. And what we're waiting for across the board is you've run into your resistance, you've hit your head, you've come back down, you're taking a look up, and you're ultimately going to try and, you know, take a, not take a different approach, but take another go at it. And this is what we're really watching for. And once you flip this resistance, Bitcoin flips its 30K, Cardano flips what is really acting as tough resistance, which is 42 cents. you know, you're going to get a lot of people running into this market. And I do think with this candle close, watch out for it, guys. This will close. If it closes greenly, it's very likely you're going to get another green candle. And this could be the start of the next up leg for Cardano. You put in a concession of higher highs and higher lows. Let's move away from the high Kanashis. You know, you can see this structure across the board. This is where Cardano's resistance at, but Ethereum's at it now. We can look at a number of different altcoins. We won't do Litecoin, but Bitcoin, for example, is at it. You can go down and look at small altcoins, you know, Atom, for example. Similar thing. It sort of ran up into resistance. Atom's a really bad example. But there are a number of other altcoins out here that are doing the same thing. Ethereum, Polkadot, perhaps. It's ran into resistance where we sort of went into the FTX spiller. And ultimately, it's coiling up around here, but not putting in new lows, having rejected off it. It's holding that low and putting in a concession of higher lows and higher highs. This will break it. You've got a real candle that looks like it's being bought up here. You're on this support. And ultimately, we are looking for that upside. And those high Kinashi candles potentially are indicating that there is highs to come. And actually looking at, for example, if we use the RSIs are always secondary to price action. I don't think you can trade RSIs, but I think they can give you a good overview. Like, for example, us getting back into the market and looking to get back into the market going into January 2023, we were looking at the RSI and saying, okay, the low that we put in doesn't have as much momentum as the one prior. This could be an indication that the trend's vulnerable to change. If you look at Ethereum, for example, and how it bottomed down here, you know, you can see this was the point, this was the bottom in regards to the RSI, going below the 30 mark. Look at Litecoin, for example, low. This isn't guaranteed. I don't like bringing up RSIs. Bitcoin, low. If you look at Cardano, it's gone on and put in that low. You know, could the tides now be about to turn? I do believe so. And I think you're very much in this kind of period here for the markets. You know, you've ran into resistance. You're coiling up around it. Ultimately, in my opinion, ready to attack it and see that upside. And of course, we wouldn't think that Cardano was going to do this if the overall market wasn't looking similar, not just the crypto market, but actually in regards to bear market resistance. You can see, for example, the SPY. NASDAQ's a great example. We've been telling people not to short the NASDAQ. You see how it ran into resistance. It rejected. It came back up, another test. These are almost indicators of what the crypto market's going to do. Can you see this? Rejection. Rejection again, but smaller rejection. Concession of higher highs, higher lows, sorry, and looking for that upside continuation. We think this is going to come to Cardano. Remember that I've said this, guys, and hold me to it. It may not, you know, ultimately can't predict the future, but my money's where my mouth is. We've been taking a long position on Cardano from an investment point of view and actually adding to it where we've seen fit. Looking for what we believe is very likely going to be more upside. And from a on-chain point of view, which is what we started covering at the start of the video, Cardano is doing exceptionally well. We've covered lots of things like Marlow, Mithril, Hydra, you know, and actually really believe that Cardano was very early on this kind of layer 2 sidechain vision that everyone is now adopting, certainly the likes of Ethereum. Ethereum is simply, in my opinion, for the masses unusable on a layer 1. Layer 2 solve a lot of those problems. But the thing with Ethereum is it wasn't necessarily built in order with dealing with those problems on layer 2s in mind, whereas Cardano actually was. Cardano is a very, very well thought out and solid blockchain. I don't understand quite why it gets as much criticism as it does. Again, if somebody's giving you criticism about Cardano and saying this and that about it, first of all, make sure that what they're saying is true. And second of all, ask them about the project. You'll typically find with people that don't like Cardano is that they don't understand Cardano and they're going off what somebody else has said, and that information may be outdated. On that note, I'm going to love and leave you. If you've enjoyed this content, a like is always appreciated. So is a comment. I do believe that Cardano is set for more upside. You know, all altcoins are in a very similar place. Bitcoin dominance to me looks like it's going to roll, but we will see what the week ahead brings. We'll be reporting on it every single day, so make sure you subscribe to the channel. Don't forget to stay with the All-In pool. And on that note, I'm going to love and leave you. See you all in the next YouTube video. Have a wonderful Sunday, guys. I'll catch you in the next one.